It's Blender Today Live number 72. Yes, it's been 2 weeks since we've been offline. We were at Siggraph. We were in LA. Yes, we were doing a bunch of things. We were mainly like showing Blender 2.8, and Siggraph is a place where Blender always been for the last 20 years, I think. It's always had a presence there in one way or another, either with a booth or sometimes with just meetings. So this year was particular because we went to show off Blender 2.8. But Blender 2.8 wasn't ready yet. Actually, it was released while we were there, so we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But remember, this is live. We are here live. So check out the description in this video to ask questions, or you can also go to Blender.Today, the Blender community website, where you can ask, and we're gonna talk about it in the second half of this video, of this live stream. So I miss you guys. Everything okay? Besides the audio being wrong, sorry about that. I forgot to unmute myself. So yes, actually we went at Siggraph. A little here. Let's do a little presentation here. So yeah, Siggraph, it's been amazing this year. We had so much presence from the actual industry. So there was Blender being shown at the NVIDIA booth. There was also shown at the AMD booth. Intel was showing some stuff too with the denoisers. Then there were also some other. It was all over the place. Blender is all over the place. So I've been sharing online actually some what I could in the Blender Instagram and also on the YouTube on this YouTube channel, on the stories, about how you could find us back then. So make sure you follow those if you're interested in that. I need to do it more often, but it's actually a nice way to connect. So we had this booth where we were presenting this Blender made by you new slogan. By the way, I don't know if you noticed the t-shirt that we made. It's a special t-shirt that we made for this event. If you would like to see it, if you'd like to have one, let us know, so maybe we can make more to sell at the store. The made by you concept it's also shown in the Blender website. In the new website, you probably have seen it, but the Blender website went dark. Yes, dark theme to go together with this new slogan, because it was really made by you. Blender 2.8 was a community effort. It took 3-4 years of development, but it was also part of the community. There were many call for content and feedback from these videos. So it's really made by you, and we wanted everybody to know. So that's why we made t-shirts. We were wearing them every day. New ones, not stinky ones, and also the slogan here on the booth. So when we were setting it up, we had to put some signs. So we wrote this warning: free software might take over your business. But of course, it was a joke. We didn't leave it, but it was a joke. It was never shown. It was actually during the building up of the booth, but it was fun. Might take over your business. Free software. The booth itself was really was crowded. Actually, there was one of the moments where there was the least amount of people. I took this picture with my phone. I had many nice shots with my camera, but unfortunately there was an incident that it disappeared. So I only have some pictures from my phone, but the booth was actually quite big, and we made sure that we had 2 computers doing demos, but also we made sure that people can come and ask and talk to people and talk to actual Blender users. They can hang out, and it was more like a hangout place. We wanted to make sure the community aspect was more well represented. So here you can find developers, you can find artists like Sean, who has been there for every day giving demos. That was super nice. So yeah, it was actually pretty crowded, but even more so was the meeting where this gathering of the Blender community. The Birth of a Feather is a meeting that it's more about community, and Ton always gives this presentation about asking, okay, who are you and how you're using Blender? And we really see it like being used everywhere, like from big studios. Here in this meeting there were people from all the major big studios that you can imagine, from also medium studios, BFX, from NASA, from all over the place. So it's always good to have this kind of meetings. And the room was packed. There was no more room for anybody else, and we didn't even announce it that much, this presentation. Some people said like they missed it, but yeah. Besides that, let's there were some sightings too. I had more pictures actually. There were some Susannes all over the place, people using Susannes, but this one, for example, it was a huge screen where you can't really see the size of it. You can see this is a person and this is a huge screen which had 6 presentations going on at the same time, plus the program, and you could wear headphones where you can see each one of the presentations, so you can. It was nice to see everything at a glance. And one of them, suddenly I was looking at it and it's like, hey, I know that. So it's a Blender sphere shading ball here. So there was also another sighting. I was just walking around and I saw the Titha, the guys that make these 3D 360 cameras. They were also using Blender 2.8 and actually Eevee to stream what you could see in the 360 video on a real sphere. So that was also pretty nice to see it. And like this, there were many other uses. As I mentioned, NVIDIA was showing out RTX. I had the pleasure to actually go and give a demo at the Wacom booth. So I was given a 32-inch Cintiq, and I was showing Grease Pencil mainly, which was what everybody was excited about. At the same time, I mentioned we were actually releasing Blender because it was a small delay. Some bugs showed up, and actually when we were at Siggraph, in the very early in the morning, because of time difference with Europe, we actually had to go to a coffee shop and release Blender. Of course, the release is made by the builds are made here by the developers, but we actually had to do all the like the PR material, updating Blender.org. I made the website dark. All of those changes happened in at a coffee shop, so it was really fun. And once we released it, we actually pressed the button to release Blender 2.80, then it were like, oh no, we have to go to Siggraph, but we also have to release Steam. So we on the Uber, we were releasing Blender on Steam. So that was pretty nice. This is a nice thing to show how like the human factor of these kind of releases. So that was pretty fun. That's Francesco on the car. And yes, all of that happened before I actually had an incident. My backpack, this is not very important, but it's a nice gesture that happened, is that my backpack got stolen, and there I had everything that I use from my laptop, headphones, the Elgato streamer, my camera, my everything really, and my passport even. So we did the report, and I tweeted about it, and I was pretty sad because I had all my stuff. Luckily, I released we released the Blender before that, so everything was fine. But yeah, couldn't do much more than that. However, after that, the next day, the people from BOXX, the people from Intel connected us with BOXX, the manufacturers of computers, and they actually really did it. They provided with a laptop, with an actual laptop. You know, you would think this is like a PR stand only and just for the picture, but actually I'm in Amsterdam and I got to keep it. It's a massive workstation. It's much better than what I had because it's an actual, they call it the mobile workstations. So they are meant for actual use. The specs on this is a beast. I have it here. This is part of the series, the RTX Studio laptops that NVIDIA is releasing. It's together partnering with manufacturers, and they have all the best things that you can expect. BOXX is one of those manufacturers, and they have this BOXX Slim 15, 17. They also have the bigger ones, but I like this one because it's actually slim. And I was showing you website here, the RTX Studio Laptops website on NVIDIA website. And here you can find the laptops that are certified to be RTX Studio. And in the box section, you can actually see the model that it was here. People were asking online. I still haven't had any benchmark running because I still have to set it up. I landed yesterday from LA, so I have to do some benchmark. I have to install Linux. That's the first step that I'm gonna do, and use it as much as I can. I'm really happy with this. There is the two models. Actually, the model that I have is this one, the SLM 17 inch, and it's actually pretty beefy. The specs is around, it's 32 gigs of RAM, an NVIDIA Quadro RTX 4000 with 8 gigs of video RAM, and it's what I like is also I had a bunch of USB-C type ports and a USB-A ports and a full-size Ethernet cable that I had input that you wouldn't see in other laptops. So pretty happy about this. Thank you, BOXX, for making it happen. So yes, it was a sad thing with a happy ending. So pretty nice, pretty happy about this. Then once all of that happened, we were chatting it with the. I couldn't really believe look at the boy, look at the disbelief face when I saw the specs of this thing. It was insane. The next days we also we're invited to visit actually some of by Blender users. They invited us to look around, and one of the places was NASA. It's insane that Blender is being used there for modeling some of the pieces and that you would see on demos or like in the online website where you can download it. Some of the models there in blend file format. So that is pretty crazy that Blender is being used for that. And also it's crazy. This is not related to Blender, but it's like there is one of the rovers that. Actually, of course, not this one, but the similar one that went to Mars is right there. So it's pretty insane to see that. And we also got invited to give a presentation at Disney Animation Studios. We, together with Francesco, we showed Spring. We talked about Spring. We talked about also the Blender 2.8 release and everything that's new there. And we got a tour by Iker. Thank you, Iker, if you're watching this. And this was amazing, just being there and knowing and seeing people there at Disney. Or we also went to DreamWorks. I also went to Netflix Animation Hub. Seeing people there that say, "Hey, I know you from the Blender updates," it's like from YouTube, and that's insane. It's like people are actually aware of Blender and they actually following the development and they're excited about everything that's coming up. Especially USD support is gonna make a huge leap for people adapting Blender in big studios. So that's insane. The fact that there's people around and at DreamWorks too that are actually aware that we exist. So thank you Blender user that are in the industry on those big studios for following this and for making such it's making me feel humble. It's such a thing. We feel tiny, but when this happens, it's like, okay, Blender is going places. What is going places too? We were actually going places literally with Francesco, but Blender.community website went down a few times because we ran out of space, because people, the community has been too excited with the graphical builds, which is a good thing, but we ran out of space while we were on holiday, so it was hard to fix it immediately. We were literally on the car driving and we were trying to fix things there. Francesco was driving and I was on the computer. Of course, I wasn't using my new computer because I still have to set it up. When I went away, all my credentials got wiped out. Blender takes security very seriously, so yeah, I lost all my credentials. So yeah, that's it with this. And let's move on that's it with the Siggraph. Let's move on to actual what happened in the last 2 weeks. what happened in the last 2 weeks? A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. Blender 2.8 is out. 2.80 is out. You may be aware of that. The great thing about 2.8 being out is that 2.81 development started. So yes, let's see what's new. Of course, 2.8 is great. So far, it's been pretty stable. People have been reporting bugs, but nothing like too crazy to be like, okay, we need a 2.80a like the day after. So far so good. Let's move on to the to actually what's new in Blender 2.81. So you may have, as I mentioned, another announcement that happened recently is that NVIDIA RTX is now, or the OptiX drivers are now updated to work with Blender and Cycles. So long story short, basically you can Cycles is now faster when you're using an NVIDIA RTX or the RTX Studio laptops. So here's for example an example how it would render. The blue one is CPU, the gray one is CUDA, and the other one, the green one, is RTX. So it depends on the setup of your scene. So some scenes are going to be faster than others, but in general it's a huge improvement that makes it better for everyone, because it is a ray tracing that improvements that can be used also for other platforms in the future. And this OptiX SDK also includes an AI denoiser. So basically is a denoiser, you know, it takes your samples and it makes them go away faster. So you can render with less samples and make things look a bit more smooth. And it's also AI based. So we have the first AI piece in Blender. So that was pretty neat. And the greater thing is that this development is not even done by our developers here at the studio. It's actually done by NVIDIA. So it's good. That's how things should work, right? Like companies developing, investing time of their developers, and then making a pull request, a code review to get things in Blender, so our developers can focus on making it more stable and having fun with new features. So that's the goal, everybody to have fun. So that was the main announcement. You can read more on the Blender developers blog here. That also, by the way, if you haven't noticed, the Blender code blog updates are now also shown in the front page of Blender.org. That's something that I did right before leaving, like before going to Siggraph, and it was based on the feedback from the community on DevTalk, which mentioned like the developers blog didn't have enough attention, wasn't showcased enough. So all right, let's move on. More updates. One. In the last episode, we had Pablo Vazquez. We had him in here. We were talking about the new sculpt stuff. We were talking about he may be working for Blender, wink, wink, which was pretty obvious. Why would he fly all the way from Spain to Amsterdam for a day? Well, because now he is actually working full-time for Blender, and he's already doing amazing stuff. You can find it on his Twitter. I need to, and this content should be posted on the Blender official channels, but we are gonna be reposting it soon. But you can find it here. He already worked on a pose tool where you can pose your character by some magic. Basically, you click and move, and apparently it knows how to do it. Some trickery there. Then this one also is pretty nice. There is a dynamic mesh preview where you can, it's like a brush setting or a new brush type that you can see the preview of the mesh underneath without the modifier. So without the soft-store, for example, or whatever makes your mesh more smooth. So it's pretty nice. Amazing. So it's hard at work already. And this looks like taken from a sci-fi, you know, it's like mouse overlays and stuff. Thank you, Pablo, you're doing an amazing job already. So your fund Blender Blender Development Fund money is being well spent, and we're actually five members away from 3,000, which is already a major milestone. We should do something for that. We should celebrate it. Which are also celebrating 400,000 subscribers in this YouTube channel. So thank you for that as well. All right, enough talking, Pablo. It's 25 minutes of this video and I haven't shown anything new yet. Never, don't worry, there are new things. When you download the new Blender work in progress builds, experimental builds, now you'll see that it actually says 281 alpha. So the developers have jumped already to 2.81 alpha. Remember, the alpha is not really a release, it's an ongoing release, so it's alpha since the day after 2.80 came out. So these things are gonna be changing constantly, so make sure you keep your files safe. 2.81 is mainly more about stabilizing 2.80 and making it more polished all over the board, because 2.80, as we know, is a huge release. However, there are some improvements that are going to be coming. Right now I have a few that are not so big so far, but there are some outliner improvements. So all the summer of code, nice features about selecting a better selection in the outliner, the fact that you can click on an object and then shift click on another object and it will select all of them in between. All those things that we always wanted that are part of the Google Summit of Code, they will be in 2.81. So pretty nice. All right, new things. Grease Pencil. The guys from Grease Pencil are working non-stop, and they added a few options already that make it a bit easier and a bit nicer to work with current tools. So, for example, if you've noticed in the past when you were painting, when you were drawing with the Grease Pencil, you may have seen some parts that were darker than others. So that was basically the mesh being overlapped. And sometimes you want that. Sometimes by default now it's not shown, but sometimes you maybe want to have that effect because it made it look like ink, like a bit more unreal, I would say. Not real, but more like a sketchy feeling. That was it had it appealing. I've been using it. So this setting can be enabled in the new in the material settings on the surface panel of here. Let me see if I can fit it here. It's called self overlap. So what it does basically, it's when you're drawing and you have this style, you can enable it or disable, and it will get rid of that. So it looks like it is actually by default it looks nice, it looks more clean, but if you want to have it unclean, just enable that option. Then modifiers. There are two modifiers who go on to Grease Pencil modifiers that got updates, which are, one of them is the, so let me add a drawing here. So for example, if you have these kind of strokes, where some places you have a lot of detail and sometimes you don't have so much detail there. For example, if you're in edit mode, you will see that if you go slow, it will add more points, more resolution, and sometimes it goes with less points. This is basically the stepping of your brush. If you want to simplify this, because sometimes you have too many points, you can add the simplify modifier. This has been there already for a while. And it had two modes, the fixed mode and the adaptive. So adaptive will make it adaptive to it will be like try to be smart. The fix will always fix, it will remove every other point regardless of the shape or if there is more or less points in your stroke. But now there's two new options. The sample one, which will, let's see if we can enable it here. So it will reduce based on a sample, basically. So if you on the stroke with segments of the specified length, so you specify how long is going to be your stroke, and it's going to sample from there and making it simpler basically. 1,200 viewers. Sorry, but it's just insane. There's no one today. Last time we had 1,800, but there was 2 people. What are you guys doing here? Right. Oof, no pressure, no pressure. Next, the next option, it's a new method for the simplify modifier. It's next to the others. It's called merge. So merge is like a remove doubles with speaking like in the 2.7 way of doing things. It's basically merging by the distance when they are when the points are together. You can make it. You can remove those to make it a bit, simplify. So you can test it as a modifier, so it's non-destructive. But once you're happy, you can actually apply it, and you can get rid of, for example, if you have a lot of detail in one part, you can get rid of those. So pretty nice. Another thing that's nice, continuing with the modifiers in Grease Pencil, is actually it's a new setting, but also it's a fix in a way. The noise modifier is what makes it, what over time makes this nice. Sorry, if we make it this nice shaky effect when you are, for example, when you make it look like you make some text or when you want to make it like an animated stop motion-ish style. The issue was that sometimes, because it didn't have a way to, it was completely random, the noise. So sometimes it will differ from viewport and render. Now with the new setting called seed, you can actually more predictable way of adding this noise. So you're sure that if I use the seed 0 or 1 or 4, it's gonna look exactly the same in viewport and the render. So that's a very nice addition. And the last one is a merge by distance operator, which is basically the same as in the mesh. You can find it in the stroke. It's a cleanup actually. So it's in Grease Pencil, cleanup, merge by distance, and it's pretty much the same as the one in the meshes. So if you come from 2.7, this will be like remove doubles. Same concept. Remove points that are near by a specific threshold that you can specify here. And that's pretty much it. Actually, those are the new things in the Grease Pencil world. And if you want to find out more, sounds like an advertisement. Hey, if you want to know more, subscribe to, no, don't subscribe. Don't, just go here to this thread and you will find out the news, what's coming up for the Grease Pencil module. There are a few long-term projects. I know that the guys are already working on the storyboarding workflow, which is pretty interesting because it's one of the parts of Blender that is actually missing. So we have already layout, modeling, animation, compositing, rendering, video editing, everything is there, except the very first step, which is storyboarding. Well, maybe we could argue that you also are missing the writing the script part, but that could be an add-on in the text editor. But the storyboarding is basically a way to combine the sequencer with the drawing of the storyboard. So maybe like having maybe a scene strip that you can click and edit and paint on it and then come back. So that workflow is still being discussed. And yeah, there are also medium-term projects and some paper cuts. So you can see already how the Grease Pencil team is working non-stop. The more new things. Okay, this is a small one, but it speeds up the shading process for when you're using vector math. So it's a small one, but you'll find it when you have, for example, a vector math. Previously, we'll have only the vector, the button that you will click, and then it will show up all the specific values. Now they're expanded by default, so it's easier to go and tweak it without having to open the pop-up. So it's an extra, it saves you a click. Then there is a new copy as new driver context menu option. So if you have something that it's driven, you can also copy as a new driver. So you can copy the driver and it will make it here, copy as a new driver. So it will make another one, so you can keep this one and duplicate it. So that is pretty useful for animators, riggers, everyone. Then Alembic. So this one I don't have a demo file, but basically these options, you can find them already in the work in progress wiki notes of the release notes for Blender 2.81. Most of these sections are empty, even though there has been some changes. For example, in user interface, there have been some cleanups on menus. So we need to poke the developers to update this, or maybe the community can also help, because there have been updates in many menus in the text editor, sculpt, grease pencil, and mainly reorganization, but this should be part of that. The Alembic part is in the import export. Basically now Alembic supports mesh normals as export, so you can export the mesh normals. Pretty useful, and the phase varying normals also are imported from Alembic. So yay for that, more Alembic updates. Also, there have been new updates in the in the audio and video support. So now we can write to Opus Audio. We can write WebM files, so like the containers. You can write a video that is whatever.webm. You can also save alpha values, so you can have transparent video with WebM VP9, and the also improvements for quick time. So you can just drag and drop a mob file and it should work even if it has alpha. So another nice addition. Remember, all of this you can try already in the experimental versions of Blender. You can do download, then you go to go experimental, or you can click on the rocket as well, and you will find that there's already, for your platform, there is 2.81, and the developers are already discussing maybe having more of these builds available, so you don't only have the latest one, but maybe also have like the last 5, for example, so it's easier to go back in time in case the bug has been fixed, or has been or maybe Blender broke and you need a version before. So that's being discussed by the developers already. All this discussion is public, by the way. It's in the list BF committers. If you go lists.blender.org under BF committers, in this very nice 90s UI, you can find BF committers archive, order by date or by topic, and you will find here the coordination meeting notes. So pretty nice way to keep up in these new meeting notes that is about coordination, about the Blender project itself, not about the news in terms of development, but the coordination. So yes, many updates. What else? 2 more things. Python API, Blender Python, the built-in Python version that comes in Blender, it's been upgraded from 3.70 to 3.74. So if I'm not wrong, this is the latest and greatest. And soon, as far as I know, yes, 3.74. So we are up to date. We are in the latest. And also, so if you're making add-ons, you may, or changing the Blender interface or API, you may like this change. Also, there's a new operator. There's a small one, but there's a new operator called mesh clear geometry. It's a mesh operator. It's called clear geometry, which basically allows you to remove everything inside of that data block without removing the data block. So you can replace it with something else. You can plug in something else and it will still say you don't have to make a new mesh and then remap it. It's easier if you're working, for example, with importers or exporters, because it will keep everything inside that mesh. And that's it. All right, let's go to the questions, because I'm gonna run out of time and that's not nice. Let's see, I've already been away for too long. So let's see, Blender.Today. 48 comments. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Okay, so first question. Thank you, Momotron, by the way, for making this thread. And let's see. First question. Hi, Pablo. It's really nice to have OptiX support from NVIDIA. Could we expect them to work on Eevee when the migration to Vulkan is done? I think it's not really up to NVIDIA, but it's more up to it's Vulkan itself. So it's Eevee itself. So I bet Clément Foucault is going to work on it mainly to do the migration. Remember, Blender went from OpenGL 2.1 to 3.3 minimum support now in the 2.8 release. The moving from OpenGL to Vulkan is also going to be a lot of work, but this will allow to have more support for this new stuff like multi-thread or ray tracing, for example. So it's not really up to NVIDIA, but more up to the developers. Of course, it would be great if they can help, because it's a lot of monkey work, you know, moving everything from one to the other. Yeah, I have a new bottle. The other one was also my backpack. All right. Cobra asks, hi Pablo, I've been struggling to work with 2.80, a bit especially in modeling, as many changes have made to crucial parts. I made a proposal for a small annoyance in the image empties. Since they replace background images, their border is drawn on the back, which wasn't an issue. Please check. Let's see. These, well, if it's a small fix, like that, for example. So it's an option to not draw the edges, I guess. I need to check it when there's 48 questions, so I want to try and go through them as fast as possible, but I'm gonna have a look. But if it's like a paper cut, maybe you can report it on the, or if you have a fix for it, maybe make a patch, or if it's a suggestion, maybe yeah, report it maybe as an issue, as an actual issue bug. Also, in your past streams that you made the 20 layers in the header, yes, in 2.80, can we have that as an official add-on? I should update it, but it's on my GitHub. It's on my GitHub/VenomGFX, I think. Yes. Yes, and here you can find it. It should be under the addonitos, because it's a small add-on, and it's called Collection Quickies. It's already pretty old. Whoa, it's over like 1 year old, so this probably doesn't even work in the latest Blender. But if anybody wants to go and try and update it, please do it. It's right here. It's in my own GitHub. Next question. Yes, Scramble says, hey Pablo, it seems the biggest splash Blender 2.8 has made in the NPR to the animation. It seems people are loving the potential of Grease Pencil, but the most complaints I've heard is about the stroke engine, and it's not very smooth and inaccurate. I hope this gets fixed, improved. Yes, it's a part of the roadmap to improve the brush system as a whole in Blender. It seems there is already a French movie made entirely in Grease Pencil. Yes, it is. Grease Pencil is really having a life of its own, so the more developers can help with that, the better. Dream High Animation says, is there going to be any improvements in the UV tools? And I wonder why there are no retopo mode in Blender yet with its own tools. I think Blender only needs a few things to have and more reviews from pros that work in production. Yes, the UV tools, there are no current plans that, as far as I know, as of big projects, but anything that will improve the retopo. I know that Pablo Vazquez wants to work on that. I know a lot of people have made add-ons for that, but no one really contributed to Blender core. So that would be pretty nice if someone wants to do it. I know Pablo Vazquez wants to work on that in the future, but so far the focus is on fixing the sculpting tools. So yes. Next question. We have primitive shapes for metaballs and no surfaces. What prevents us from having them for Grease Pencil strokes? Guys, literally only one thing, and it's disgusting. Primitive objects made from Grease Pencil tools, strokes. There is really nothing stopping it. Actually, Grease Pencil already has the blank, stroke, and monkey primitives. And you can actually also add there was a grease pencil primitive like Shift A, like way to add. In the past there was an option to add a sphere and to add a cube, not a cube, but to add like a circle. So those could appear again, and is not really a lot of work. So maybe for a new developer it would be a nice addition to have. Really not doesn't seem like a lot of work. If you're learning Blender development, this is a great way to start. Lapisi, hi Pablo, I hope that everything is okay from the bad luck on the trip. Yeah, everything is okay. I still have to write to the insurance. The issue was that I was under a bit of a shock when I went to the police station, so I only noted a few things, and every time now before starting this live stream I remember that the battery for that webcam camera was on the backpack too, so Francesco had to run home, go back and find an extra battery. So things like that happen. But so as a tip, if you get something stolen, like your backpack especially, before you go to the police station, remember everything. Try to go again and again and again, because otherwise and you also, if you put it on, if you tell your insurance, they're going to ask for the tickets for everything. So make sure that you buy either things online and keep the ticket, or when you go buy something at the store, keep the tickets of everything, the receipts of everything. All right, now to actual Blender stuff. Now that 2.8 is released, what are the priorities? Will that be general unresolved high priority bugs? Yes, high priority bugs are the priority, and pretty much 2.81 is mainly going to be about that, about fixing the big issues that are left from 2.80. And if you see other general development in Blender is probably done by other developers or by the community, so there is a balance. You know, if you see like hey, there is a new outliner, why are they working in the outliner when there is this bug in the particle system? Well, because it's two different developers that are working on that. Or the outliner improvements were also done by a Google Summer of Code student. So yeah, it's different people doing different things. The Dragon asks, can Blender get a shader so we can see inverted faces? That can be important for game developers. The red and blue colors hurt my eyes. Yeah, not a shader, but basically an option to tweak the colors of the overlay. Maybe by default could be like black and white, or maybe just transparent and black, like it would be in 2.7. But yeah, this should be custom. Let's see. I just want to know what's next. Currently, the biggest thorns in Blender side is its viewport performance with high density scenes and meshes and undo its hitching. I know this, especially the latter. Issues are huge undertakings, but will they see any priority in the next releases? Yeah, they are priority. We are aware that undo is slow, and it's a high priority, but it's a tough thing, believe it or not. And the undo system in Blender involves so many areas that yeah, it will take time. Next. Will focusing on them disrupt momentum in selling other features? Not really. Like the undo probably can be tackled by 1 or 2 developers only, and the other features can continue fine. But yeah, it will take time because of that, because it's such a specific thing that yeah, takes time. Also, you can break Blender so badly if you try and fix something so basic like that. Another question, did you make an add-on that added back the layers? Can you give us the download link? Yes, actually that's what I had it before, so I can actually give you a comment and leave it there. So next, Sile asks, hi Pablo, what did you guys get up to Disney? Any news on Animation 2020? Well, we actually went invited there by people from the community to hang out and also to present Spring and some 2.8 features. Of course, we got a tour and it was awesome. And the Animation 2020 is basically improving the workflow of Blender for animation, for character creation and rigging. So being there, talking to people is really a huge help. Any news? Not yet, but expect something soon. I know we are like 6 months less, 4 months away from 2020. So yes, expect soon. Expect news soon. Another question, PK Go. Hello Pablo, glad everything went well after the incident. Yes, thank you. The good thing is that they didn't steal you from us at Siggraph. No, thank you. Everything went well. My question is, could you list the potential projects that would be in 2.81 release? Also, we need better UV and wrapping tools in the future. The Karo system is like a decade ago, or even more, I would say. So the potential projects, I would say it's the Outliner project from the Summit of Code, the LAN PR line renderer for also should make it for 2.81. The maybe some improvements on the actually bringing the static override, the override system in Blender 2.81 should be possible to bring it there. The file browser is going to have a redesign that should make it to 2.81. Maybe some, there will be tweaks all over the place, but I think those are the bigger ones so far that I know. But the window for adding new things to 2.81, it's until September 13th. So 1 month from now. That's the window that developers have for adding new features. After that, we'll all be like stabilizing and just feature freeze, basically making sure that Blender is stable and all the things that get added would make it to the release, which hopefully will happen. Yes, announcing mid-November. That is the target so far. Mid-November is the target for Blender 2.81 release. And then after that, 2.82, yay! So maybe UTheme also, UTheme should make it to 2.81. That's a big one. Actually here, mentioning by Joseph Borg. The asset manager, I'm not sure, I have to check with the developers, but that would be the plan. Yes, UV and wrapping tools. Yes, we hear you. It needs love. It needs a developer too. There is no developer that is focused on that yet. The developers that worked on it in the past, they're doing the other stuff like cycles or mesh editing or undo systems. So yeah, it's tricky. I wish there was a developer that will work on that. Harold Regenton. Hola Pablo. Something has bothered me for a long time. When I use the keystrokes to isolate collections, it focuses on one collection. But how can I unhide all the collections? Alt-H doesn't work. There is a Shift-Alt-H. I think it should do it. I'm not sure. Otherwise, you can use the like 1, 2, and then Control-Shift-H. No. Hide collection. So the Control-H is for hiding the collection. Control-Shift-H. No, actually, it is for hiding. Control-H. Control-Alt-H. No. So you can do it from the outliner, of course, but I thought there was a shortcut for that. I'll have to double check. Also, where would this be? Actually, this should be in a menu. Yeah. I will double check this with Brecht, that it should be on a menu somewhere, because the rule is that if you add a feature, it should be on a menu. So yes, we'll look at it. Thank you for the reminder. Next question, Rash. So storyboarding, cool. Yes. Can we expect music generator composer in Blender? You can only hope. Their Blender is open source, so anybody really can implement anything. I really wish somebody would implement maybe audio, like more basic audio editing or VST events, or especially basic audio editing would help for lip syncing or doing basic animation. You can do that in the video sequencer, but would be nice to have it a bit better UI. I forgot that I have to answer the questions from the bottom up, because those are the actual ones that were asked first. So now I scroll to the bottom and I'm going to start answering. Nicolas Samuel, good day Pablo and community. Is the transform gizmo supposed to disappear when in edit mode? No, it's not actually. You can, if you enable it from here, from the overlay, object gizmos, this should be, yeah, this is consistent in edit mode and in object mode. So the thing is that object mode and edit mode have different active tools. So if you use the active tool, then yeah, they show up depending on the mode that you're in. So if you want to keep them consistent, you can enable here the viewport gizmo, the overlays. Next, I'm gonna leave it there. Next, hey Pablo, so happy to see you back. So happy to see you back as well, Voxel. We were dying here waiting for news about Siggraph, and because there is now so much hype about 2.8, do you think it would be nice to 1. add a more prominent and nicely formatted roadmap page? Yes, I agree. Add a section about architecture visualization in the features page. I don't know why, but it looks like architecture studios feel more comfortable and ready to try if they read clearly that Blender can be used for this too. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Maybe we could have a section in the right-click select for the websites, like for the Blender website. I'm in charge of the Blender website, the features page, also with Francesco. But it would be great to have help in, especially regarding pictures, what to use, section names, descriptions, text, everything, because that's the slowest part. But yeah. So yeah, thank you, Voxel. Hi Pablo, Serge asks, it was really fun to meet you at the Wacom booth. Yes, I was there. Yes, nice to meet you too. Hope this year's Siggraph experience was positive despite the incident. It was really positive. I'm really happy to have gone to Siggraph. I mean, I lost a bunch of stuff, but it's what I got back. Like all the feedback from people and everybody getting together and saying, yeah, I saw you on the Blender videos, and people following this interaction is what made it the best. So I'm definitely gonna come back as much as I can. If Blender can take me, I will definitely go. See you again at the conference. Yes, Blender Conference 2019, end of October. Please come, let's meet and hang out. I might be doing a live stream, by the way, from there, if everything goes fine. Radion asks another question. Why, when I'm using the lasso or box select, is not possible to set the active component? It's only possible when I click on it. Because the lasso or box select is an active tool, so you have to set the active component by clicking. I think I'm getting it right there, or maybe I'm missing something from the question. Sorry. Sinomax asks, hey Pablo, what's your take on the retopology task? Some users want it in edit mode, but developers want it in a separate mode to provide advanced tools. It seems that the developers had to settle with what the user wants instead. Does it mean sacrificing things just to make the work in edit mode and not anger the masses? No, of course not. No, I think retopology is a very specific workflow, but the tools needed for doing retopology can be used for anything else, for all kinds of modeling. So I think adding them in maybe having a workspace is fine, like a dedicated workspace, but the tools should also be accessible even if you're not doing retopology and you're just editing, because basically what you're doing is modeling with the easy to make meshes and snapping to the surface of a mesh underneath. So that also has a lot of uses outside of retopology. So yeah, everything should be in edit mode. Having a dedicated workspace, cool, but everything should be accessible even if you're not doing retopology. Luca, hi Pablo. Hi Luca. Any documentations about improvements in the NLA? No, actually there's been so many improvements in 2.80 and they have Not in the features page. Ah, sorry. We'll miss that. But it's huge. Actually, now in 2.80, the NLA is actually useful compared to 2.7. So yeah, that's a whoosh from our side. We missed it. Thank you for the reminder. And the second point is, I think there is a bug. Packing libraries in a scene when linked with link collections stored in a different disk has some issues. Please report the bug. Yeah, please report a bug if you find it. All right, I'm 1 minute away from the end of the show, but let's do 5 more questions just to see if I can make it. All right, next. Mixman Frying P. Hi, Pablo. Glad to hear everything went okay at the end with the whole dev thing. Yes, everything went fine. I'm just, it was just a weird thing that happened. And also because I've been so many places in so many countries that people call dangerous. And this happened in the US, surrounded by computer people. So funny. Next, the question is, are there any plans to add a move gizmo to the 3D cursor tool? It will make manipulating the 3D cursor a whole lot easier. There are no plans that as far as I know, but it's having the 3D cursor as a 3D object, not object, but a 3D entity in 2.80 is the first step to do this. This looks like a very nice, isolated task for a new developer to jump in. But yeah, would be great to have this. Maybe if you're learning Blender development, this is a nice thing to do, to add. The developer that made the cursor in 3D, actually he's working now on the undo system. So it's like better undo or better 3D cursor manipulation. It's you gotta balance those. So all right, let's ask then question number 4. Daniela Palme asks, hey Pablo, you've been busy, huh? Yes, I have. Glad you got a new computer. I hope everyone on the team isn't too tired. Thank you very much, Daniela. I'm very happy. Yeah, loves from the community. Yes, lots of love from the community. I need to show how much support I got. Thank you, everyone. But you can see here, like, I made a blog post, 1.8 thousand likes, 100 retweets on this, so pretty happy. Thank you everyone for the support. Also, like 100 replies on the video or on the tweet where I was talking about the theft. So the community has been amazing. Thank you so much. It really feels like you're not alone. You know, when something happens to you, people are, I don't know, there for you. It's to cheer you up. It's like so nice. Somebody even made a GoFundMe, funding, like a crowdfunding for getting a new laptop. And of course, I got the one from BOXX. So I asked them to donate whatever was gathered for getting me a laptop, to instead donate that to Light VVK from the NPR project. He really needs it, and he's the one that really should take that, because he's actually facing a real issue. If you follow the Blender NPR project, you will see here, Blender NPR, you will see that. I hope he's actually here in the list, but yeah, you would just Google it, you will find it. Blender, he really needs the help. So if anybody needs help, you should give it to him. Lopo Isaac, hi Pablo, you're breathtaking. I want to say that. Thank you. Okay, so more questions. Number 4. I trust you're keeping well. Were you able to recall it? Yeah, I thank you. I'm doing well. Yes. More questions. Okay, number 4. How are you? Sketchfab does not work in Blender 2.80. What's wrong? Well, the Sketchfab add-on is actually developed by them, so maybe ask them to see if everything should be working as it should. Why did you not live stream yesterday? Because I just landed a day like yesterday. landing was on Monday, and there is a 9 or 10 hour difference with delay, so I was completely jet lagged. I wasn't following that much what was new in the latest day from Blender development, so I wanted to make sure that I was up to date, so I moved it to today. But next week is gonna be Monday again, so don't worry. So that was 3. Number 3, is there any place to look for a continuously updated Blender roadmap? I'm waiting for some big features. Would love to have an eye on what they're coming so I can manage my expectations and workload. No, this is something that that Tom suggested on the live stream that we did together 2 episodes ago, and it's called the Blender dashboard. We have to still see how it would work best, but basically it would be a 1 page on Blender.org that it shows constantly what's being worked on and what is the roadmap, the status of a tool for the roadmap. So yeah. 3, number 2, deleted here. What's wrong with Open Data benchmark that the RTX 26 is better than our Titan? Not sure actually what's wrong, but it's hard to tell without looking at the report. But what he's mentioning is the Open Data.Blender.org website that shows the RTX being faster than the Titan RTX. So there must be something maybe going on here, or maybe it is faster. The more people that try this, the better, the more real those results are going to be. And the last question, number 1. Hi Pablo, were there made any changes to the armature or rigging system from 2.79 to 2.8? No. I have a model built, and if I open in 2.8 it messes up. No, it should work fine actually. Is it a blend? Oh, it's a blend file. No, if you had a picture maybe we can see, but it's hard to tell by a blend file. And I think I'm 5 minutes past, and I should... Let's see if I can find another question. Is it possible to add style transfer materials to Blender? Like this, or another video. Sorry, I'm trying to answer whatever I can find with text. 2.8 is amazing. It's amazing. I am really happy about all the changes. There is only one thing that is missing, in my opinion. There are many things that are missing. 2.8 is great, but there are many things. That's why we have 3.0 in the horizon. So the possibility to add modifiers to collections, yes, that is part of the override system. We will, which ideally would be able to add pretty much anything, any kind of override. So maybe changing the resolution of all the objects, or applying a material to all the objects inside of a collection. So yeah, it's kind of in that. Like going in that direction. But yes, I think it's about time. I made it a bit too long, but I'm glad that you stayed. Hang out here. Anton, let's see on the chat. Anton asked, are you Spanish? No, I'm from Argentina. Well, I'm also Spanish, a quarter Spanish. My grandfather was Spanish. So a little bit, and that also helped me to go back to Europe, because on my backpack I also had my passport, my Argentinian passport, so I need to do that. So annoying, all the paperwork and stuff. Why do people steal things? It's boring. Isn't it more fun when you actually earn it, and you know, you can say it's like, hey, I got this, I worked for this. What a stupid question I'm asking. Thank you for staying until the end. It's been a pleasure. I miss this. I miss doing this. The interaction and the hanging out with you guys. It's awesome. Thank you to everybody that during these weeks have been supporting and being super supportive about what happened, about being at Siggraph and showing you things, and they always get in touch. The people that I met at Siggraph, thank you also for sharing all the use cases that you give it to Blender, all the crazy things that you guys are doing. Thank you for those that invited us to see really how Blender is all over the place. Even if you are a small studio, a big studio, a VFX, or an architecture, or even NASA. It's space exploration. So it's been amazing. And I will talk to you, let's not make it too long, because we have to meet again in less than a week, Monday, same place, same time. So if you are aware, let's see if I can get the music right. Yes. So these are my new headphones. Remember I had the big ones? I don't anymore. Now these are the replacements. So let's go with style in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for staying until the end. I will see you again, same place, same time next week. Ciao. No, same time. Monday, 5 p.m. European Central Time. Ciao.